Okay, I'm back at it. And this is gonna be a really important topic today because this is one of the most asked topics that I get for new check-ins that are Submarine Yeoman. They generally will ask, what am I expected to see in my future? What am I gonna see yearly? What am I gonna see monthly? Because the cost and benefits that you have to execute and basically supply the submarine with are dependent upon, obviously, how well you get compensated. And the compensation plan, I want to say, isn't the most in terms of the job responsibilities that you are given, because as a submarine yeoman, in all my videos, I say that you are beyond a submarine yeoman. You have to do so many different different ratings that have nothing to do with being a yeoman at all. And you don't get paid for those extra duties, those extra rating duties that you have to accomplish while on board. So in order to explain my train of thought, I compared two different ratings that go to the same school. Obviously, we have the YNSN rating that goes to Meridian, Mississippi, Naval Technical Training Center. And then we have the same for LSSN, which is Logistics Specialist Submarines. Okay, that's the right way to say it. See, I had to think about that for a second. So they go through the same pipeline, they go to the same school, they go to submarine school after they're done with NTTC, and they both have similar paths. I want to go over and start off with base pay. Base pay for an E3, because I want to make E3 the context of how I'm going to explain this, because generally you're going to advance in boot camp and you're going to show up to Meridian, Mississippi, NTTC as an E2, go to sub school, possibly make E3, then go to your first submarine being eligible to take the E4 advancement exam. So I'm doing it through that construct. Obviously that's not the same for everyone, so I'm just giving this a benchmark place to start. Perfect. Okay, so the base pay, 2042. Base pay is what you're gonna get no matter what pay grade you're at. It's the base of what the Department of Defense will pay you. So there's extra pays as well, and I'll go over all of them. You get basic allowance for subsistence, BAS. If you eat on board a submarine, they will take your money away. Negative $372. Or if you're on a pre-commissioning unit, they'll give you your BAS, which means that your submarine doesn't have a galley and people aren't cooking on it and there's no food that you're being supplied. There's other situations in which they'll give you back your basic allowance for subsistence, but 99.9% of the time, BS will be taken away from meals that you eat on board the submarine. Perfect. You get submarine pay, it starts off at $80. Sea pay starts off at $50. Special duty incentive pay. Once again, this is where the separation happens between Yeoman submarines and your logistics specialist submarines. Yeoman submarines do not get special duty incentive pay, which is an extra $600 a month. Logistics specialist submarines do. And they get it because the Navy has seen that supplies a more crucial rating. I don't make those choices, they come all the way from the top, probably like the Pentagon. Who knows where it comes from? But somewhere, someone's decided that the LSs need to receive a special incentive pay to go on board submarines. And that's all the way from E1 all the way to E9. So they will get that no matter what pay grade that they're in. Yeoman will not. We get no extra pay for being a yeoman on board a submarine, and there's been a lot of arguments in the past. We're doing so many different jobs and different ratings. We work so many extra hours. We have to take work home when everyone doesn't. Why don't we get it? And that is probably one of the biggest fights that's going on in this rating right now, is getting compensated correctly. So I just want to put that out there. It is a question that has been asked. Okay, now we're gonna put taxes into the mix, because you have to pay state taxes and you also have to pay federal taxes. Not most of the time, meaning that not every state requires state taxes, and even if you do have to pay state taxes, the state taxes will automatically be paid back to you if you're not in the state that you reside in at the end of the year. Federal taxes will always be federal taxes, will always be taken out. So I put a 300 in the ballpark range. It can fluctuate, so I just put that in there just to not break anyone's hearts when it comes to, oh, well, hey, you didn't put that in there. We didn't know the full scope of how much we'll get paid. Well, I'll put it in there for that, okay? All right. So the total amount comes out to $1,500. Perfect. And when I say $1,500, I'm saying that in the fact that you have to think that you're getting a barracks room, so you don't pay rent, meaning that the government has subsidized your place to live. Now, obviously, if you're receiving basic allowance for housing, if you're married, or if you're an E5 or above, or you're an E4 with more than 4 years and your request has been approved to receive basic allowance for housing, those are exceptions. But 99% of the time, if you're showing up as a single person, you will be put in a barracks room and you won't be entitled to basic allowance for housing. So that's just the reality. Okay, so it comes out to $1,500 monthly, $18,000 a year with taxes included. So I'm not gonna lie, it's not a whole bunch if you really think about it. Obviously, if you were to convert the time you spend in the hours, you would be severely underpaid. But you have to understand, in the submarine force, you will definitely work more hours than you get compensated for just by the structure of how a submarine operates. So you're always gonna get underpaid, and you're gonna get underpaid even more as a submarine yeoman, because once again, we don't get special duty incentive pay like a seaman LSSN would. The next thing is, I'm gonna break down everything that is the non-taxed version, and I want to break it down and make it make more sense, because I want to explain, you know, how many hours we work monthly, how many, and how that's broken down daily. I also want to explain how we have to generally do more in our rating and how that's not well compensated for, the extra duties we have to do, and how they compare between the two different ratings. I also want to break down how the leadership inside of the workflow model is organized, meaning that, you know, who's your boss, how much work do they provide, what do they do, and stuff like that. So you have YNSN, LSSN. They both go to NTC Meridian, but one's different. One works 270 hours per month. YNSSN, one works 180 hours a month. And when you break it down, that's 12 hours daily for the yeoman, 8 hours daily for the LSs. Perfect. And you can see that I've also broken down the YNSSN into 1 year pay brackets and how much they get paid annually. And I've also broken down their leaders, an 8-year YNS1, 8-year LSS1, and then, just so this doesn't confuse you, supply, which is LS, they get a supply officer. So they get an extra person in there to help out their operating model. Whereas we're admin, we get no extra person. You have to think that the YNS1 is the admin officer, but he's an enlisted guy or a woman, and you have a YNSN who is essentially his backup. So it's completely different. Also, when you look at this model, you can see the comparison in terms of one will do a lot of work from home, while one only has to generally work at work, because with admin, you could bring it anywhere. You know, the Navy's integrating more admin systems to put on your phone. So a lot more things can be updated from anywhere, obviously not underwater, anywhere that you're on land. They have a connection, a Wi-Fi connection, interconnection. With, unfortunately, the supply department, a lot of their work, from my understanding from working with them for over the past couple of years and asking questions, most of their work is done on board because they have to deal with heavy parts. They have to deal with a lot of, you know, supply chain management and tracking different things that's required for pre-underways. So theirs is more driven from being on board the boat or submarine. So a YNSSN will on average make $21,000 a year, while an LSSN will make $29,000 a year. So there's an $8,000 difference, because with that special duty incentive pays LSs get, it really makes up that big bracket of you know, pay difference. A YNS1 will make $4,600 a month, which comes to $55,000 a year. An LSS1 will make $5,300 a month, $64K a year. And once again, special duty incentive pay for that. Now, with the supply officer in the mix, you know, he really helps contain and structure their supply department to function. While you have to think there's two people, 50-50, one guy's there, the other guy is getting overworked. So, you know, he has to make up for that by taking work home or being there extra late. That's why you saw there's 270 hours and there's 180 hours, because they have a third guy to basically make up for the one guy that's not there that day, or is standing watch, or is working with a duty section, or is in a school, or is on leave, vacation. So their structure is a lot more solid than our structure. And the supply officer will make around $73K a year. So just in their department, they make $154K out of the three of them total, right? While Yeoman, they make $76K. And you can look at the difference and you can be like, wow, that's basically, you know, split in half. Like, Yeoman make half the amount that their department makes. And you have to think that Yeoman are knocking out 2,000 to 3,000 tasks a year. I actually wrote down every task I did for a whole year, and it came out to 2,359 tasks. That comes up to 14 to 15 tasks daily. And then when you compare that to the supply department, they have 600 to 900 in tasks a year with 2 to 3 tasks daily. Because working with people gets really, really, really intense, because I promise you, people problems happen a lot more than problem with parts. Parts don't break as fast as people get into their own personal problems on board with pay, legal, travel, public affairs, ceremony. I could break it down. I actually did in like my second video. So if you want me to basically reference it, I can, but that'll take another 20 minutes. So yeah, just watch the second video if you want to know. You can really see the difference, and I guess one of the differences that matters to you and your deciding factor of whether you want to involve yourself is, what do I want to do with the next 20 years of my life? right? Because a lot of people who will join will want to retire. That's just the reality of the situation, because, you know, pensions are going away. And so if you're gonna go in for the long haul and do it for 20 years, this is what you have to look forward to for being a submarine yeoman. We're actually the most underpaid rating on board the submarine for the duties that we're required to do. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to bring reality to the work that you will be compensated for. Because too many people are coming in, not even lasting a 4-year contract and wanting to get out because they're like, dang, like I'm overworked, I'm underpaid. And I have people in different divisions who go home at lunchtime and who make more than me and who have more people to support them than I do, who have more resources, who have more tools than I do to get the job done. Well, yeah, like, and that's why I'm letting you know this now, so that when you look at this, you will have the right justification to make your choice. And I want you to make the right choice. I don't want you to come into this and feel cheated. And I don't want you to feel, you know, like you're not represented. But trust me, I had to go through the same questions that you're probably gonna ask yourself when you first do your job for the first year. And I want to put this out now so that when you make those choices, if you want to do it for 20 years, you see this video, and before you sign your contract over at MEPS, you can see what the next 20 years will be like in terms of how you're going to get paid. Because the number one question that I get asked from every yeoman is, why don't we get paid enough for what we do? Well, I just broke it down and explained it, okay? And I don't know what the future is going to be like, but once again, I've been in, you know, I don't know, I've been in, I would say not 20 years, but I've done jobs that are required of 20-year yeomen, if that makes sense. Like, I've been put in positions of leadership that require 20-year yeomen to do. So I've pretty much seen it all, and I've seen both sides of the perspective of the very junior guy, the E1, and I've seen the E9 perspective of how things operate. And I want you to know that no change is coming to fix the pay anytime soon. And it's something that I want you to know ahead of time. I just want you to know this, because if you're gonna work so hard, I believe that you should be compensated well. And that's just the reality. And this is, once again, an opinion by me, and it's due to my research. It's due to my own view of the work I've been doing. So this is just me being honest. This is literally me being honest. I don't think that we get paid what we should get paid. I don't think that we get the resources we need to get the job done. I don't think that we have the right leadership to help us even function to get through a day, let alone a whole year. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Make the right choice, because the choice is yours.